Streets and Scholars, Alex Alonso and FG, bringing you another banger. What's going on, FG? How's them Dallas Cowboys doing?
Oh man, they had me a little pissed off this weekend, man. But I'm trying to bounce back from it. We took a tough L to Aaron Rodgers, man. But it's all good. It's what it is.
How the heck does somebody from Southern Cal even end up becoming a Dallas Cowboys fan in the first place?
Well, some people, when their parents leave, some people get left mansions, some people get left diamonds and jewels. I left a football team, so I followed my pops down through them Dallas Cowboys, man. I've been since I was 5 years old, man. Cowboy fan.
Now, let me see if I remember who the quarterback was back then. That had to be Danny White when you was 5 years old.
Let me see, in 77, 78. Nah, I don't think Danny White was around by then. It was probably still Roger Staubach by then.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I never really followed the Cowboys, but I do remember they won a bunch of Super Bowls. Was that in the 70s?
Yeah, 70s and the 90s, yeah. But they haven't won nothing since the 90s, man. But I'm hanging in there, I picked them. I'm going to ride with them. You know how I go.
I thought they had like a 15-1 season in the 90s or the late 90s or something. They went almost undefeated one season.
Well, we won 3 Super Bowls in the 90s.
Yeah.
But 15-1, I don't know. I don't think that's so, but I know we won 3 Super Bowls for sure.
Okay, well, I've just been keeping up with my my USC Trojans, and they're doing all right. I think they 9-1 right now.
Oh, no doubt. I was sick when we took that. I'm a Trojans fan as well, man. So I was sick when we took that loss, man. Because we got opportunity, man. It's a pretty decent team over there, USC.
Yeah, we took a loss to, I believe it was Utah.
Well, this game coming up, I believe it's the wood versus the hood, as they call it. UCLA against USC, man, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one, man. So, man, we got a few things here on Streets and Scholars to talk about, man, but I just want to remind all the listeners that if you're new to the podcast, be sure to tap in with a few of our previous episodes because we've been tapping in on all kind of topics from the LA City Council and the 3 Mexican-American racists. We've been chopping it up about the Oath Keepers who are currently on trial right now. We've been chopping it up about Cain Velasquez, who just got bail. We've been talking about the YNW Melly trial, which still hasn't happened yet, which is crazy. And, I forgot about this, but we were talking about Jussie Smollett early when we first started the podcast. And, his case is still ongoing, too, because, he hoaxed the whole
Right.
incident.
Oh, they haven't settled that case?
Nah, because I think they recharged him on something.
Okay.
And so he's out on bail, though.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard. I'm sure he's glad that all these other things is happening because no one's really talking about Jussie right now.
Exactly.
And we tapped in on the Young Dolph. I think, we did talk about the Young Dolph case down in Memphis, Tennessee.
If I'm not mistaken, they just arrested a new suspect recently.
Yeah, that's crazy. They arrested a guy named Hernandez Govan, 40 years old, and they charged him with first degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. So basically, they're saying he ordered the hit with the 2 youngsters that are already. There's already 2 youngsters in custody.
Right.
So, man, what's your whole take on that situation, man?
Hey, man, it seems like they getting down to a bottom of a lot of these cases, after the fact, which leads me to believe, that, people pay attention, man. It's just not as easy as it used to be, Alex,
Well, I believe that Young Dolph had a security with him that was strapped and returned fire on the 2 guys that were shooting first. And it just goes to show you, you can even be, you could be armed and you could be ready for it and still get it.
Oh, no doubt. Definitely can, but the thing about it is, like I say, I don't remember all the dynamics to the Dolph case, but from my situation, my understanding, he did know he was in the beef, and, he was out stunting still. And, when you beefing like that, Alex, not saying it's his fault or he shouldn't be able to drive his Lambo or Fred Bentley or anything like that, but when you beefing, man, you got to be low-key and undercover, man.
Yeah, also, when you beefing like that, you probably should pass up on Makeda's cookies in the hood.
No,
what do you think about that?
I heard they was fired, but yeah.
And I'm over here laughing and giggling again, but I'm not making a joke about him getting murdered, but it's just the cold reality is you got to move differently when you're a multi-millionaire, You are a target. You're in the hood. You're in Memphis. Memphis has a hell of a murder rate.
Oh no, I've been there, believe me.
And you just got to move differently. And I'm not saying that he deserved anything coming to him, but man, these rappers today's rappers are richer than they've ever been before. And they moving like they just regular people.
Well, you know what? How can I put this, Alex, without sounding? They doing too much what they call real nigga quote unquote shit. You know what I mean? When you get somebody from the projects or you get somebody from the hood, or say somebody from the ghetto wins the lottery or a couple $1 million, that's not going to change who they are in their core. But somebody with I know when NFL players and athletes go, they take courses and classes to try to, manage their money and manage, their security. But, when you just give a hood dude or a hood woman some money, that don't change their value. So they keep doing the exact same thing just with money. And sometimes that's where the fault come in on their behalf at.
Yeah, and I don't think they do a good job at hiring older people that are probably our age to be in their circle as management, as advisors, as consultants. They got a whole bunch of young people just like them in their circle.
Right, telling them stupid shit to do, and they doing it,
Yeah. Actually, I have a clip here that talks about this recent arrest of Mr. Hernandez Govan from Memphis, Tennessee. And, what's crazy is that Mr. Govan Hernandez lived on the street where the car that was used to shoot Young Dolph was eventually found.
Damn.
They found the car on the street, the same street. He lives on that same street.
Wow.
Or used to live on that same street.
Yeah.
It's crazy how some of these people, they out there doing dirt, and I don't really think these people think this stuff out, because there's no way on God's green earth that I would expect somebody to commit a homicide in a car and then have that car found on the same street that you live on.
Well, the thing about it, Alex, is they do think some of these things out. They just underestimate what technology can do. Or they listening to the OGs or listening to dudes like us telling them what we used to can do. Man, we used to can just, and it wasn't no camera phones. We talk about all the stuff that people did back then. Can't do that no more, man. It's too much technology. Cell phones pinging off satellites, Ring doorbells picking up. How can we see a lot of these shootings that go on like in real time? Who records this stuff, So I just underestimate, I think they underestimate the power of, the technology and the resources that the police departments have nowadays.
Yeah, but I remember back in the days in the 80s that when people were going to go do dirt, they would say, we got to get a G-Ride.
Oh, no doubt about it.
That was the main thing. We got to get a G-Ride.
We got to get a G-Ride. That's the first form of business, right?
And you know what? Most people that are listening to us around the world might not know what a G-Ride is. So break that down for the listeners.
Oh, a G-Ride is definitely a ghost vehicle that you're going to go steal in order to go put the work in or go do the dirt in, And but you have to think about it, Cutlasses and Regals and cars back then were so easy to steal. I mean, all you needed was a screwdriver, Now with the cars and cars of today have GPS already installed, one form or another, whether it's OnStar or something like that. Vehicles back then didn't have those sort of things, didn't have electronic ignitions and things of that nature. So you could just go grab a G-Ride, 20 minutes to, y'all rolling around deep, and a lot of people didn't know, Alex, back in the day, which, when you get caught with a stolen car, the first thing they want to charge you with is grand theft auto, which was a larger a felony, but if you just straight up told them, hey man, I bought the car knowing it was stolen from parts, now you got receiving stolen property, which is a lot less charge, and a lot of homies didn't know that.
Yeah. I still think it's easy to steal a car today. Man, I was surprised that a lot of GM cars, they put cheap ignitions in the car.
Yeah.
They don't, and you can spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a car and the ignition is like a $10 ignition.
You know what? I agree with you on that. Just the only thing about it, but it does have and even criminals nowadays, the real ones know how to go get them GPS off the car immediately. They know where they located. They go cut, so real car thieves can still do it. But I mean, back in the 80s and stuff like that, I mean, the average amateur could steal a Cutlass or a Regal all day, every day.
Yeah, let me play this clip out of Memphis
Of
here. I
this
finally
now
got it.
infamous white Mercedes, Memphis police say was the getaway car used in Young Dolph's murder at Makeda's Cookies has been viewed by millions. The car was found outside this abandoned home on Bradley Street days after the killing in late November. It's the same home seen here in this music video featuring Young Dolph's accused killer, Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop. Court records show 43-year-old Hernandez Govan, who was just indicted in the rap star's slaying, along with Johnson and Cornelius Smith, once lived just a few houses down. Neighbors fearing for their lives told us off camera he grew up on the street. A possible connection linking the suspects, as District Attorney Steve Mulroy says Govan asked for Young Dolph to be murdered.
Mr. Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the Young Dolph murder. He played the role of the person who solicited the murder.
The indictment coming less than 2 months after Govan's daughter, 25-year-old Destiny Govan, an up-and-coming rapper by the name of Lotta Cash Desto, was fatally shot in Houston. WREG also dug into Govan's lengthy criminal history dating back 2 decades, involving drugs, weapons, and assault charges. He's now charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The conspiracy offense dated June 2021, months before Dolph was killed. I did get in contact with one of Govan's children. She tells me she wants people to know her father is an amazing man. At this time, he does not have a court date. For now, reporting outside 201 Poplar, Bria Jones, WREG News, Channel 3.
All right, that was. Wait up, I can't hear me. Can you hear me? Damn, we having some technical difficulties here. What is going on? All right, there we go. That was a news story out of Memphis, and if all that is true, I don't think Homeboy is going to be seeing the light of day anytime soon.
Nah, I think he fucked up, Alex, you know what I mean? And I mean royally, you know. But the car situation, doing a video at the same house, living on the same street, that was highly unacceptable, you know, in the underworld. You know what I mean? I mean, highly unacceptable, man. You know, I just don't even know what to say about that part.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, I was listening to Spider Loke on his podcast, Facts Over Feelings, and he was talking about all the tragedies in hip hop, including the most recent one, Takeoff from the Migos, and he was breaking down that he thinks hip hop is cursed, not just murders, but there's rappers who have OD'd, there are rappers that are just dying, there are rappers getting murdered. What's going on with hip hop? Do you think is there a target on hip hop?
I don't think so. What I think it is a mixture of being able to make millions of dollars really fast, having that kind of money at your access. More rappers are being able to shine and have money opposed to back in the day. You had a few rappers on every label that was very successful. Now, by the time you hear of a rapper, he's already got a few million put up, even when you're just hearing of him, and a bunch of music that's been heard and played. Not to mention the designer drugs that was out. You know, back in the day, you know, I had never heard of oxycodone, never heard of Percocets. You know, I didn't hear lean until maybe the 90s, you know, coming around, you know. So a lot of these designer drugs mixed with, you know, bad eating, diabetes, and just the number of rappers. It's kind of like, since there's so many, Alex, we seeing the effects of more just getting knocked off, dying, you know, and things of that nature just because there's more of them. But I just won't say it's cursed.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think it's just we got a lot of rappers who are older now. We got a lot of rappers who didn't take care of themselves. So that's going to be a part of it now. Rappers that we grew up with are going to be dying because they didn't. I remember I used to listen to the Fat Boys.
Oh, man.
And one of those guys just died of a heart attack, a few years back. And I remember maybe a decade ago, Heavy D, who was only like 40 years old, dropped dead one day.
Yeah.
But I just think it's part of regular life, man. But the part about all the homicides though that rappers have been getting gunned down recently, man, that's a little disturbing. And I think that's partly because they're flaunting their riches and they're being flamboyant during a time where there's a lot of hungry people out there on the streets. and that are willing to do whatever it takes to, to stunt your progress.
No doubt, and elevate their progress as well. A lot of the things, like you say, that people are out here doing, to me is wild. Seen a couple rappers in the news not too long ago. They wasn't successful rappers, but they was rappers. Robbed a 7-Eleven, couple 7-Elevens. What the hell are you gonna get at a 7-Eleven? 200. I mean, it don't make. Some of the shit is that they doing, Alex. Even some of the robberies, it don't add up. For what you're going to get. One thing, like I say, I don't come on here and advocate crime, but if you're going to do it, make it make sense. Make it make sense. So I think it's a lot of people out here, and the clout, the new word that they use in clout, the fame. Fame been a drug, Alex. So for some of these dudes to be famous because YouTube can make that happen, or Instagram and TikTok can make that happen, it's a drug for some people. So I believe that chasing that fame and chasing that dollar in order to, I name myself Money Mike, I gotta keep some money now, so I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure people know I still got some money because I named myself this. When in actuality, man, you could have just named yourself something else and wouldn't have put all that pressure on, So it's a lot of dynamics to it, but I also blame it on the youth, all these guns, and the youth not being scared to use them. That's a big issue with us nowadays.
Yeah, man, I'm not a big subscriber to the idea, the notion of hip hop being cursed, but I could understand somebody believing in it because it just doesn't look bad. Because look, if you look at all the other music forms, the music genres, country music, rock and roll, heavy metal's not that prevalent today. You don't really see this, in other music forms, though.
No doubt. And when he says cursed, I get what he's saying. I mean, I get 100% what he's saying, and it's easy to, you nod your head yes once in a conversation and somebody says that. I just want to believe in my heart that it's a way out. I want to believe in my heart that a new Nas gonna come through, or it's gonna be somebody new that's gonna come through with something positive to say, and people are gonna buy it. The nigga bitch kill music. I'm hoping it dies out to another form of rap because people love rap music, period. You know what I mean? So we can get out of the mind state of, Percocets, drugs, kill, murder, hoes music. Maybe we can turn it around because people, the kids, the youth, they follow rappers, and if we can some way, like you say, turn it around to make rap still gangster, but more positive, I believe that'll be a start in the right direction.
Man, I don't know if you could.
You think it's possible?
I don't think you could put the toothpaste back into the tube, man, because once you start saying dick, pussy, murder, then you just opened up that new door. Mm-hmm. Look at what's her name, the tall chick from Texas, the stuff she rap about.
Megan.
Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion. And she didn't really start it, but she took it to another level. Lil' Kim was sort of like that first kinky, freaky rapper.
Yeah.
But Megan, she's taking it to another level. And it's amazing to see how many young minors, girls that look up to her and think that's cool.
No, real shit. You know what I mean? And like I say, I can't sit here. See, I got two perspectives on it, Alex.
Yeah.
I got the perspective of I can't be a hater. Because when I was doing the shit I was doing in the street, it wasn't no positive shit either.
Yeah.
Kids was looking up to me and 500 Benzes and lowriders and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I can't be a hypocrite, but what I can be is a mature man now. And understand that when I look at the full dynamics of it, and I know she's a young woman, but when I look at the full, and she's like you say, she's not the only one, nor did she start it. She coming in, she getting her bread doing it. I do like her sassiness, her style, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you what you hear less of. Beyonce. You hear less of the Sierras. You hear less of those singers because they don't say that type of stuff. Now, can they even still sell music because they not saying, bitch, you know what I mean? And I'm wondering, like you say, if the toothpaste can be put back in there, or if it'll just die out. If the murder music, the drill music, can it die out to something else? Can something else overcome it to where we jump back on that?
Well, that remains to be seen, man. I don't know, but I bet you if KRS-One just dropped their first album today, if Rakim dropped his first album today, I don't think anybody would even be listening to him. No. And those are some of the greatest albums in the history of hip hop. And I don't even think it would be able to compete in today's market.
No, you're right. But let me tell you about today's market opposed to the old school market. Back then, you know, you couldn't go to YouTube and certain platforms and pull up every song you wanted to listen to. We had to go to the radio, and radio controls what was on it. You know, some people had underground mixtape, but the dudes who had underground mixtape in New York, we didn't hear that in Cali. They didn't hear our underground mixtapes because somebody's gonna do, fly a box of them out there. Now anybody can get on social media and become a star or elevate their music. You know, so that's where the competition come in at. You know, and so I do wonder that if, you know, back in the day had all the tools that we have today, would we have been that ignorant then with Instagram as these people are today? I'm just wondering. You know what I mean? You know, and all I can say is I'm just happy we didn't have it.
I know. I remember my pops used to tell me about, why you listening to that rap music? He didn't like it. He thought it was whatever word. But I was listening to A Tribe Called Quest. You know, I was listening to Poor Righteous Teachers. I was listening to Ice Cube. I wasn't listening to the stuff that they got out today.
Right.
And he was critical of it back in the late 80s, early 90s when I was rocking it, which I thought was kind of crazy because I'm critical of it today. I don't want my kids listening to some of the stuff that the youngsters are rapping about right now. I think it's just too it's too much pollution in the lyrics.
No doubt it definitely is, but at the end of the day, Alex, you know, they got computers at their fingertips, you know, and it's so easy to just get this music or get, you know, porn and so many different things that, you know, we were able to be, you know, stuff was, you know, you had to go, it was hard to go find a VHS tape and go put it in the VCR when, you know, it was different now.
Man, hey, if you wanted to watch porn in the 80s, you had to spend $2, go to the rental store place, get one tape, or if you had $4, get two tapes.
Right.
The availability of porn today is incredible. You could just it's like a menu. You know, it's like ordering off of a menu.
It's crazy.
It is. So I thought about that like years ago. What am I going to do with my kids when it comes to porn? And there's really not much you can do because once you're on your cell phone and you're out there at school and you're out in the real world, there's nothing you can do to stop your kids from looking at what they're going to look at.
No doubt. You really, you know, you're 100% right on that. All we can do, Alex, you know, give them the best home training we can give them the best perspectives we can give them, and hopefully, you know what I mean, they'll go in the right direction and look at examples before them, you know, whether they good or bad, and say, man, I want to do that, or no, I don't want to do that, and make the right choice, make the right decisions.
You know, well, I guess we're not completely embracing the idea of hip hop is cursed, but hip hop is definitely is going through something right now, and hopefully it could bounce back, repair itself. We'll see. But I wanted to tap in on this topic that we talked about, I don't know how many episodes ago. I just remembered it right now, but we talked about Master P's daughter dying about maybe 2 months ago. The coroner just came out and released that she died from fentanyl overdose, man. Damn. And that's another thing that's killing our folks, man.
Knocking them down.
Yes, fentanyl.
Yeah. I know like 3 or 4 people personally that then died off the fentanyl. I have 2 perspectives, of course. You know, one, you know, those designer drugs and those pills and shit that's fake that'll kill you. And for me, if I was coming up when I was smoking weed back in the day and somebody said, man, don't get that weed, or that weed, that certain weed right there kill you. If you get the wrong weed, it'll kill you. I mean, I believe I would have just stopped smoking it because it was just our mindsets was different. Like, we ain't trying to die, you know, and today these people are getting this powder cocaine, getting these pills and they putting their life on the line every time they pop one or snort one, or, you know, and it's crazy.
Well, Tatiana Miller, the coroner just dropped the report that Tatiana Miller's overdose was attributed to fentanyl, and it's incredible that the number of people that are passing from fentanyl, which is a synthetic opioid that's 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine.
I got a thing in my phone. I don't know the exact statistics, Alex, but the lady was telling a statistic on fentanyl deaths, and it outdid almost everything combined: tobacco, murder. I mean, the list was so. I was like, damn, is that many people across our country really, dying from? And apparently it is. It's bigger than we think, Alex. It's bigger than we think.
No, definitely, because in 2021. They say here, according to the CDC, 108,000 people died from overdose, and 2/3 of those were attributed to fentanyl. So 2/3 of 100,000 is roughly 65,000. That's more people that get murdered. I think about 25,000 people in America get murdered in a year. So 60-something, 70,000 people died of fentanyl in 2021 alone. So yeah, this is incredible. Imagine if fentanyl was a black drug.
Man, wipe out the whole population.
No, but I mean, black people got so ostracized by society because of the crack cocaine epidemic, because most of them were cooking it up in the crack house. Black folks ain't got nothing to do with the production, the distribution of fentanyl.
No doubt about it. But at the same time, had it been a black production, Congress would have came down, man, and made it. If you even caught with a fingernail full of it, you finna get a life sentence with the amount of people that's dying from it, But they're not taking these routes nowadays because, like you say, it's not us,
Well, yeah, they've tried to arrest a couple of folks that have sold it, but nothing's happening in terms of preventing the fentanyl from coming into the country, man. So, yeah, I wanted to tap in with Master P's daughter, an update on Master P's daughter, man, because the coroner just dropped that recently. I want to tap in with, I think I want to tap in on this Dave Chappelle thing, man. Dave Chappelle did a little stand up at Saturday Night Live. Did you check that out?
Yeah, I did, man.
And I'm a little surprised that a lot of people came at him saying that was anti-Semitic. What was your whole take on what he said?
My whole take is, man, it's getting to the point where it seemed like they're trying to make it seem like don't say nothing about us, and that's just foul and wrong. Just based on you could say something about everybody else. Are you guys that big and powerful? And even if you are, is that how you gonna flex your ability? The word I'm looking for. You gonna ostracize people just for speaking on you guys. So, but I thought it was funny, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man, I actually thought it was hilarious. I was actually laughing. A lot of people thought that he was anti-Semitic in it. I didn't think so at all. And let me see here. I might have a little clip of what he said.
Well, it was a couple writers over at SNL that tweeted out some things that they felt that he would be normalizing, anti-Semitism, and I don't believe he was doing that. He was, making his jokes about what he made about.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was funny. He was talking about Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, but I didn't think that what he specifically said was offensive at all.
Yeah.
But I just saw an article that said that when he went through rehearsal at Saturday Night Live,
I saw that.
he said something different. He was going to say something different.
Right.
Because he probably knew they were going to tell him, nah, you can't. Yeah. Because the guy that owns Saturday Night Live, he's Jewish.
Yeah, no doubt.
So he wouldn't have signed off on it.
He wouldn't have signed off on that, but he took a chance. He went out there and somebody used the term, that wasn't brave or funny, or, man, it was funny to me.
No, it was, man. I thought everything he said in that thing was hilarious. I kind of I laughed a few times in it, and I think he was speaking some real talk.
Think they gonna come after him?
Well, they've been trying to come after Chappelle ever since
for a minute. Yeah.
He did that LBGTQ joke, which I thought was hilarious.
No doubt.
I didn't find it offensive at all. So I don't really think they can come at him. I really don't think. I think they're going to be unsuccessful trying to come at David Chappelle on that Saturday Night Live skit. In fact, let me play a little bit of it right here. Let's fast forward to, let's see here. Here we
Thank you
go.
much for being here. But before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. I gotta tell you guys, I've probably been doing this 35 years now. And early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and juice. I've never heard someone.
Okay, so I want to stop right there because that's basically the whole kind of way he lines out all his jokes. He's just talking about what's been going on in the media with Kanye, with Kyrie, and I didn't find anything offensive in anything he said. How the heck is that anti-Semitic?
Man, like I say, Alex, they trying to. It's almost like they trying to punk everybody and be like, man, don't even, like I say, don't even mention my hood. Don't even mention nothing about me or us. You know what I mean? And that's foul right there.
Well, you know, I understand why the Jewish community is so defensive about it because of the whole Holocaust situation, which when you think about it historically, it didn't happen that long ago. It was in the 1930s and 40s. And, you know, millions of them got killed by the Nazi government. So that is a recent act of oppression against their people that they are standing against at all costs. So they think that in their mind is any little tiny, just a minuscule offensive saying against our people is opening up to the door where another Holocaust could happen. That's the way they look at it.
No doubt, you know, I do need to be educated more on, you know, the Holocaust and all that. But the thing about it is, I mean, it seems like don't nobody have a problem with slavery. Say, you know, nobody have a problem speaking on slavery. Nobody have a problem with speaking on slave masters and slave trade and, you know, none of that stuff, you know. So, and like I say, they hadn't said nothing disrespectful. And I'm almost certain that the Holocaust didn't happen here in America.
Correct.
You know, so, I mean, so not saying that they shouldn't have no feelings. I'm not saying nothing like that. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, you know, like he said, you know, it's two words that seem like they should never be put together. The and Jews, you know, and it really starting to sum up. They showing me some shit, Alex, that I'm like, wow, I knew they had some power. I knew they was, but damn, they putting their foot down. I mean, they hammered now.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. They definitely. I mean, they've created these organizations too that are backed by millions of dollars. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. They have the JDL, the Jewish Defensive League. And I don't know if you tapped in with this TV show that was on Netflix about a year ago, but it was all about how they tracked down every single Nazi that was involved in the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. That are still living. Some of them are still living today, but they'd be like 90 years old. Mm-hmm. And they're tracking every single Nazi down to put them in prison.
Damn.
Even if they're 90 years old and came to America and had a family and their great grandfather, the Jews don't care about that.
Right.
You are going to prison. They're going to extradite you to The Hague, to an international court. So they don't play when it comes to the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Let me play a couple of more clips of Dave Chappelle here because I think it was hilarious.
Kanye's gotten into some scrapes before. Normally when he's in trouble, I pull up immediately. But this time I was like, you know what? Let me see what's gonna happen first. I just want to see where this is all going. I can't even remember how it started. Vaguely, I remember it started with a tweet, strange tweet. It was like, I'm feeling a little sleepy.
Talking about Kanye.
I'm gonna give me some rest, but when I wake up, I'm gonna go DEFCON 3 on the Jews. And then he just went to bed. I was up all night worried. What is he gonna do to the Jews? I grew up around Jewish people. I have a lot of Jewish friends. So I'm not freaked out by your culture. I know a little bit about it just from hanging around. Be like, yo, let's go out after school tomorrow. They'll be like, we can't go out. It's Sha-Na-Na tomorrow. I'm like, what? What is Sha-Na-Na? I had so many questions. Why do some of your people dress like Run DMC? Kanye woke up from that nap, he went right to work. A year ago, I'd seen him on a podcast called Drink Champs. Well, great show. And it was an amazing appearance. Noriega and them were there, the rappers that I love, and they all had their gold chains and stuff on. And Kanye said, only millionaires wear chains. They said, what? He said, I'm a billionaire. Billionaires don't wear their money on their body. I tucked my chain and I said, oh, snap. It was a good appearance. It was fun and funny. But when he woke up, he went on Drink Champs again. This time, he was on one. He was mad about something. He said, I can say anti-Semitic things, and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Adidas dropped that nigga immediately. Ironically, Adidas was founded by Nazis. And they were offended.
Okay.
I guess
that is hilarious. But, I could understand some Jews might be a little offended by some of those jokes. The Sha-Na-Na is really kind of dissing their religious beliefs.
It is.
It's I believe the proper pronunciation is Rosh Hashanah, but to kind of like undermine a religious philosophy in a joke, hey, you're gonna piss some people off.
Oh no doubt, because no doubt, I gotta agree with you 100% on that.
Sha-Na-Na.
No doubt.
And then also saying that they dress like Run DMC. He's talking about those Hasidic Jews that if you're ever in Los Angeles and you walk down, let's say Fairfax, or you walk down La Brea, basically the rich side of LA, way on the west side, you'll see Hasidic Jews walking up and down the street in the black suits.
Oh, no doubt.
With the black hats,
Yeah.
looking like Run DMC.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I could see that.
I can see it, being offensive.
Yeah, being a little offended. But I think overall, man, he's making some good points there.
True, but like you say, once you offend the people, man, it's and the way they coming at people. I mean, for me, I was saddened by the Kyrie situation. Just based on, you tweeted something or reposted a movie that's, in theaters. It sells in stores. It's a book per se. I thought that was just over the top. Just to be honest with you, if he was saying something that was genuinely from his heart, that was disrespectful. But if he was just talking about something that's it's out there. It's a book. It's a movie. It's a I just think for them to go, they kind of backing up now because the basketball team is even saying, "No, hold on, man. It's just a little too much that." But for them to jump out there like how they did with him at first, I ain't gonna lie, Alex, I was heated about that.
Yeah, man. I think there's absolutely no reason to be upset that he just tweeted a book or a movie. And I'm a little surprised that he didn't get any support or backup from brothers in the NBA, including Shaquille O'Neal, who, he took an opposite position of him. Shaq don't know nothing about this. Man, and who's the other? Charles Barkley.
Barkley, man. I ain't gonna like Barkley anyway. But right. And my whole thing is, if you don't have nothing good, we grew up with this, Alex. We don't have nothing good to say, man. Don't say nothing at all. When your brother's up against the wall, on some with this kind of fight, you know what I mean? Yeah, I wasn't feeling the Kyrie thing.
Yeah, even the other NBA guy that's a sports announcer now, he kind of went in on Kyrie, a light-skinned brother from Louisiana. What's his name? With the French, he got the French last name.
I know who you're talking about.
Chris Broussard.
Yeah.
Chris Broussard, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, they did not come to the defense of Kyrie Irving when he needed it. And it just goes to show you, like, when you need your people there to defend you, man, that almighty dollar rules over trying to defend somebody over a harmless tweet.
No doubt. But at the same time, I'm hoping the youth, and even adults, are taking notice to exactly all the dynamics of this is going on, from the Kanye part to the Kyrie part, which was different from the basketball analysts and they antics, and you see what are we up against. We not just up against everybody else, it's also ourselves that's up against us. We not riding with each other. And Alex, we got to come to a point to where, like I say, we just have to support each other a lot more. That's all I'm saying.
And I think there needs to be like a black mafia in LA. And I don't mean mafia in the gangster sense. I mean mafia where it's financial elites that come to your rescue and defend you, like the way that Minister Farrakhan would defend what Kanye said. But the elite, the black mafia needs to be celebrities, multimillionaires, executives like Tyler Perry, Eddie Murphy, but that doesn't even exist in Hollywood.
No, because everybody wanted to make sure that they keep what's on their plate. It's a dog eat dog world out there, man. And I'm just hoping that someday soon, black companies and corporation or some of these black millionaires and billionaires get together and, they start their own shoe company from scratch or start their own, grocery stores from scratch, start something from scratch, and we get behind each other on something, Alex. It got to start with us getting behind somebody on something, in order to see how we can do right by each other, as far as financially helping out each other and how far it could keep moving. So if somebody just come on, and get this ball rolling, man, unfortunately you got to have a lot of money and a lot of backing to get it done. But it is black people out there that have that, that should try it out.
Hey, what did you think when Kanye West, actually formerly known as Kanye West, he wants to be called Ye. When he said he was going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews, I felt like he might have crossed the line a little bit when he made that tweet.
I didn't know he actually said that. I thought Dave Chappelle was joking that.
No, he tweeted that. I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews.
Wow.
On a tweet.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's but that's basically even like if I woke up saying, man, I'm going DEFCON 3 on the Southsiders. I mean, that's disrespectful. Their ears gonna be like, well, what's happening? And me personally, I don't have nothing against the Jews like that. I'm just for black people. I don't have nothing against no other race. I support them in certain situations, no doubt. I buy they clothes, they shoes, they this or that, just like everybody else. But my whole thing is I just want us to support us more. But when he said that, he was looking for a fight and he got one.
Well, a lot of people that try to defend him said that DEFCON 3 means you're going into defensive mode. That's what it means, defense condition. That's the United States nuclear category of defense in nuclear war. But I don't think that's an appropriate way to try to talk about other races, cultures, religions, or beliefs to say, I'm going DEFCON 3 on them, because even though you might be able to argue, oh yeah, that means defense, you're going in defense, but that is a action towards war as well.
Right, no doubt.
It's nuclear war, what it really means.
And well, even in it, for the most of us that didn't know that, you saying that to us, saying it's on, it's cracking, it's and we finna, and that's how probably everybody took it. I didn't know he actually said that. But yeah, that definitely was wild right there.
Well, Candace Owens tried to defend it, saying that, oh no, Kanye didn't mean nothing negative about it. It just means that he's going in defense mode. He's going into protection mode. But I don't think most people think of saying, I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on you.
Right.
Means that you going into defense mode. So I think that Kanye does make good points, but then he messes it up when he says stuff like, I can say anti-Semitic stuff and Adidas ain't going to do nothing. You can't go out there and say that.
Yeah, even if that's how you felt in your mind, you can't say that. You should have knew that statement right there. And I'm with you. I'm with you the same way, Alex. Some of the stuff he say, man, is pretty amazing. I had it changed my thought process on some. But then there's other shit he comes saying, I'll be like, what this fool just say? And so he's up and down and all around, but I do believe sometimes he be making some hell of a points though.
Yeah, no doubt. But he loses me when he decides I'm gonna show up at an event with Candace Owens and I'm gonna wear White Lives Matter t-shirts and I'm just going to shit on the whole George Floyd thing.
Well, that's where he lost me with the George Floyd. Period. You know, it wasn't even a White Lives Matter shirt. It was two. You being with Candace and the George Floyd thing. That's what, you know, I stepped back. You know, I didn't say too much. I didn't say nothing at all about him. You know, I wanted to go on my channel and personally get on his helmet about it, but I didn't. But the thing about a lot of people that I talked to, I got into an actual argument with a lady friend of mine. She was going in about Kanye this, Kanye that, about all kind of other stuff, right? I say, but you never said nothing about George Floyd. So our argument is not even it's not even irrelevant to shit you talking to me because you left out George Floyd. You know, you talking about all kind of other shit you don't like about him, but you didn't speak up for your own, but he said something about your own people. You know what I mean? And she was like, well, that too. No, but you didn't mention it. You know what I mean? And so some of these people you gotta, you know, the homies, when you in a debate or, you know, arguing with the homie, you gotta go back and be like, hold on, man, let's stick to what offended us. You know, we can't be worried about what offended the Jews, you know, just to be honest with you. That George Floyd thing offended us as a people. You know what I mean? You talk down on us or made us look bad as a people, even if that's how you felt. That's not something you could have kept that to yourself, or, you know, and that's just how I feel about that.
Yeah, man, he's been doing a lot of anti-black stuff like that for some years. I think in about 2013 or 14, he tried to come out with a clothing line that put the Confederate flag on it. And then he was in a picture with the whole Confederate flag. Yeah. It'd just be some weird stuff he'd be doing that kind of takes away from some of the great points that he's trying to make in terms of business. So it's hard for me to follow Kanye because he does too many other anti-black things. What's crazy for the last, let's say since 2013 to the present, let's say the last 7 years, he's been saying a whole bunch of anti-black stuff and ain't nobody try to cancel him. He goes anti-Jew, and in a week, he lost $1 billion of value in just a few days. So that's disappointing that we accept all the anti-black things he said, but as soon as he went anti-Jew, it was over.
Well, my whole thing about it was I didn't even have a problem with the Jews getting on his helmet when he went anti-Jew. It was the blacks that got on his helmet for going anti-Jew. Let him fight his fight, bro. Why we don't need your extra little two punk ass saying, you know what I mean, and you putting a black man down again. You know, they know how to fight. You know, they know how to, you know, do their thing. They don't need you to help. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, like you say, we getting here to see young people and old who's who out here because of this social media, because of TV, we're getting to see who's who. You know, me, I've never bought a pair of Yeezys. I never, you know, after College Dropout, it was a wrap for me with Kanye West.
That was his best album, huh?
You know, yeah. I love that album though. But after that, I was never a Ye fan, just based on the type of person. You know, he just wasn't. You know, nothing, not speak down on him, but it just wasn't for me after that. But while he's in this fight right now, let him fight his fight or come to his aid. Other than that, don't say shit, you know. But you got people that's going, you know, do the dance.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to tap in with a couple of other, well, at least one more topic, man, and get your take on this. So we've talked about Courtney Clenny a couple episodes ago, and she's back in the news. She's in a court hearing this week, and she's trying to get bail. And it just, another audio came out where she actually said that she was going to kill her boyfriend at the time. And this audio came out about a month before. And now she's in court trying to get bail. And the whole question is, does a girl like this who has access to resources, she's got access to making money on OnlyFans, who's already been kind of lying about what happened, excuse me, and now she's trying to get bail, and they're saying she might be a flight risk. Do you think, FG, that Courtney Clenny should be able to get bail on this murder case?
I definitely do not. You know, based on all what you put, look what you put Cain Velasquez through. Look what you know, and he don't even have a body. You know, he don't even have videotapes of you, you know, verbally abusing, physically abusing, you know, like she has. You know, she has so much stuff stacked against her. Only thing she had for her going on was the color of her skin. You know, because anybody else, Alice would have been in jail. You know, they would have been. I believe, I don't even know if they even charged her with first degree murder yet. You know, or if they're going to do it. You know, and it's clearly she stabbed and killed him. You know, according to all the reports that we have so far. So she's going to have to fight this case. But like you say, with her having the resources that she have, I don't think she deserved one. Even though in earlier episodes we said that we feel like bail is, everyone should have a bail, but this is a murder. This is not a attempted murder. This is not assault with a deadly weapon. This is a murder.
Yeah, she's not charged with first degree. So far, she's charged with second degree. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that as more information comes out about her, the DA might up that charge to first degree, because I think that little by little, we're not buying the idea that she did this in self-defense. I believe that she did this partly out of just her own anger and her own frustration and just her own issues that she has psychologically, which would all lead to a first degree murder, not I killed this man in self-defense. That makes no sense to me from what I'm seeing so far.
Not to mention, the racial slurs that she shot at him, while arguing with this man. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that should bring her mind frame or her state of mind into play doing all this, So, I just don't believe if you give her a bail. I believe that it's a privilege given, for some. If that happened, I'm gonna be a lot of bit upset.
Well, according to reports down there in Florida, she's earned $3 million on OnlyFans, on her OnlyFans page since 2020.
Damn.
This is before she killed her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. And from January 1st to August 11th of this year, she's earned $327,000 on OnlyFans.
Man.
So she's raking in the money, man. What are they doing over there on OnlyFans?
Man, I'm gonna have to open me one. Figure out what they doing to open me one. Shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely enough money to disappear with. But man, it's unfortunate that this brother lost his life, man. In this toxic situation, toxic relationship that he was in with this woman.
Well, I think that she could afford high-powered lawyers, which she's going to do. I don't know if her attorneys are those type of lawyers, but she's got 2 attorneys, and they're going to do everything they can to get her bail. And basically what they're going to do is probably put a monitor on her, take her passport, and make sure she doesn't flee the country. And at that point, even though I don't think she deserves it, I would have to stay consistent and say, all right, give her that bail, take her passport, put her on a monitor, and home confinement. Simple as that.
Yeah, but everybody ain't getting bail on no murders, Alex, and I don't think she should be the exception of the rule. We talk about bail for every other case, but how many murders we sit here and talk about the people out on bail for, and they gave King Velasquez $1 million bail on attempted murder. And so what is going to be for murder? 2 million, 3 million, so we definitely going to see how this pans out, man. And if she really got the bread stacked up to even be able to post that bond, even if they gave it to her. But you talking about a murder right here.
So you don't think she's going to get the bail?
I really don't, being as this is not a conspiracy. This is not a bunch of people was at a house and he came up dead. This is 2 people who were there. She already admitted that she stabbed him. Now you see the malice, the intent, the fighting, the her whole way she was, posted out on social media, and so I believe with those factors within itself, I don't believe they'll give her one.
Well, I'm gonna have to give her the benefit of the doubt because her argument is domestic violence and self-defense. Now, I'm not buying it, but because she hasn't went to trial, I have to accept that that's her argument. That's her defense, that this was domestic violence and I got pushed to the limit, and that's what happened. So because of that, I'm gonna say she should get her bail. And we'll see.
Well, you know what? I'm not opposed to her fighting her fight, though. You know me, Alex. I'm not opposed to her, putting up her defense as she should. I'm not opposed to her fabricate. She fighting for her life. I'm not opposed to her fabricating what happened in order to beat this case or get a lesser sentence or get it dropped down. I'm not. I get it. Y'all, if nobody get it, I do. It's just at the end of the day, man, we don't always get to see this kind of evidence, though, either. We seen him punching, her punching, and we seen him, bowing down to her. Baby, I'm sorry. You heard her say, shut up, nigga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he like, why are you screaming at me? We've seen this personally. This is not something that we just, somebody else told us by secondhand. We seen this from her personally. So I think that the court seen it personally. I believe that the prosecutor seen it personally. And I do believe the prosecutor will fight to say with this kind of intellect that this woman have, this kind of temper and anger that this woman has, she's definitely shouldn't be able to be bailed out. And I believe the prosecution will win that argument. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, well, she should get probably denied on her first try, which is this week is her bail hearing. I'll be surprised if she gets bail on her first try, but if she does, it just shows you how the criminal justice system favors white privilege,
No doubt.
favors a white female, and favors a potential domestic violence victim, even though it hasn't been proven yet. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if she eventually gets bail, perhaps not this week, but maybe on her second try around.
No doubt. And for people who are not familiar with the Courtney Clenny case, me and Alex talked about it on previous episodes at length. You can go back and listen to those episodes and get a full view of how this panned out, on Streets and Scholars podcast.
For sure. And I think that's all we got for this week, man. I wanted to announce that we just hit a milestone. This is our 40th episode, man.
No doubt, man. We're trying to get it in, man. We gonna stay at it and keep punching, and try to get these topics out on the forefront, man. Just to see how how our opinion sums up with other people's. See what everybody think about what's going on out there.
Yeah, after 40 episodes, have you received any sort of response when you just out there and just out in public and living your life daily?
You know what, Alex? I really have. I be in all kind of places, man. And I ran into a young woman. Her name was Anita Fox. And Anita Fox was like, man, AFG, and I looked and she like, man, I love Streets and Scholars, and I couldn't do nothing but smile. And I be in certain situations where a lot of people are saying that they like the show, bro, and tell me to tell you to, hey, keep up the good work and keep punching.
Well, I think we got one of the best and most informative, most insightful podcasts out there, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm a fan of podcasting. I'm a fan of a whole lot of other people, but we got one of the best shows out there, man.
Well, we got to stay on it, man. We got to get the people what they looking for. We got to keep being consistent like we have. And let's get it in, bro. We just getting going.
All right, man. Tell the people where they can find you right now.
You can find me, as you guys been doing, Instagram at FGeneral1. If you got any questions or comments, and come to YouTube over there at FG Unleashed, man. Check out some videos. I got a lineup over there. Come check me out over there, FG Unleashed on YouTube.
And you can find me, Alex Alonso, at Street TV on the YouTube channel, where I'll occasionally drop videos from this podcast. But you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, iHeart, and Apple. If you're tapping in with the Apple Podcast app, go over there and leave us a comment, leave us a question, and we'll shout you out on the next episode. And also, you can find me at Alex Alonso 101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks for listening to another fire episode of Streets and Scholars.